Hey besties, I am here with the mid-year book tag. I know I'm a little late. Okay, I know, but I am here nonetheless, so let's get into it. The first question is your best book from 2025 so far, and I'm going to give you my top 5, and yes, these are in order. So at number 5, we have Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. Yeah, this one ate. S.A. Cosby, iconic. I cannot believe that it took me this long to read a book by him, but wow. I mean, I am just dying to read the rest of his backlist now. This was fantastic. At number 4, I have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you guys know me, you know that Taylor Jenkins Reid is my favorite author of all time. I love everything that she writes. The thing about Taylor Jenkins Reid, okay, let's talk about this for a second. She comes up with some of the most out there concepts for her books, things that if they were not written by her, I would never pick up in the first place. And I love her books every single time. Her execution is just impeccable every single time, and Atmosphere was no exception. I loved this book. I didn't know much about it going into it, and I'm really glad that I read it that way because it was such a delightful surprise getting to unfold every layer of this story, and I just loved it. I don't know what else to say. The fact that this is number 4 and there's books above this is honestly like shocking to me. So let's get into number 3. So at number 3, we have the Fistwoven Kingdom series by Tahira Mafi. Yeah, this is the best series that I have ever read. Sorry, sue me. It's better than The Hunger Games. It's better than Fourth Wing. It is better than Throne of Glass. It's better than Avatar. I love this series. At least for me, this is the perfect series. The romance in this, the yearning, you guys. Like, I cannot describe to you how these books made me feel when I was reading them for the first time. If you are anything like me and you love Bridgerton to like an unhealthy degree, this is the series for you, okay? The yearning, the romance, the fantasy, the whimsy, the historical setting, just like everything about this was incredible, not to mention Tahira Mafi's writing. I mean, jaw to the floor. This was beautiful writing, some of the most exquisite writing that I have ever read. I loved this. I cannot wait to pick up everything else that Tahira Mafi has written. I have not yet read Shatter Me, and now I definitely want to. So yeah, I don't know what more I can say. This series is incredible. Number 2, we have The Favorites by Lane Fargo. It was the perfect blend of toxicity, drama, romance, action, like everything that I want in a literary fiction book, Lane Fargo did with The Favorites. This book ate down. I absolutely loved it. I still think about it constantly, and this is one of the books that I read at the very beginning of this year. And my number 1 favorite book so far of 2025 is none other than Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I mean, do I even need to say anything about this one? From page 1, this book had me completely ensnared in its trap. I mean, wow. When I say I want a book about vampires, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the blueprint. This book was everything. It was toxic lesbian vampires. Exactly. That is the perfect way to describe this book. And I absolutely loved it. So yeah, those are my top 5 books so far this year. Every single one of them incredible. Okay, you guys have to read them. Like, I'm not playing games here. Okay, I'm not joking. I'm serious. Go read these right now. The second question is new releases you have not yet read, but you want to. And I have a couple for these. I'm currently reading With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. The Sirens by Amelia Hart is another one that I'm very excited to read. I really enjoyed Wayward by her last year. What Kind of Paradise by Janelle Brown has really been catching my eye in the bookstore, and it's one that is definitely on my radar. Also, My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I've never read a Frederick Bachman before, but I feel like this could be a really good place to start. So if you have read it, let me know what you thought about it. And then The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. This is another book that has just been really speaking to me, calling my name. It seems very Bridgerton-esque, which, as we've already established, I love Bridgerton, so I feel like this is going to be right up my alley. Most anticipated releases for the second half of this year. Again, I have just a few here. Probably the main one being Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. Everything that I've read by Rebecca Ross, I have loved. I would love to read the rest of her backlist, but I definitely will be picking up Wild Reverence once that one becomes available. Also, of course, Every Spiral of Fate by Tahira Mafi, the 4th book in the Woven Kingdom series. I am chomping at the bit to get my hands on this book, okay? Hannah Grace also recently announced that she's going to have a new release coming out. It is called Holiday Ever After, and it seems like it's going to be a Christmas-themed romance. I'm usually not a huge Christmassy romance girl, but Hannah Grace is an auto-buy author for me, so I'll definitely pick that one up. And then for a little cozy fantasy moment, we have the next book in the Legends and Lattes series by Travis Baldree. I don't know how to pronounce the first word in this. Brigades? I don't know, but very excited nonetheless. What is your biggest surprise of the year so far? I would have to say probably Isola by Allegra Goodman. I didn't know anything about this book going into it. I hadn't heard of it before. My mom read it and really enjoyed it and recommended it to me, and I rated this book a 5 stars. It was so engaging from the very first page. I do think it's best to go into this one not really knowing much, but what I will say is that this book is a mix between Naked and Afraid and Bridgerton. So yeah, that should be enough to convince you to read it. Favorite new authors, debut, or new to you? For me, I'm going to have to say Sabaa Tahir and Tahira Mafi. I read The Ember and the Ashes for the first time this year, loved it. I never thought that this was a series that I would ever pick up, but I decided to. Those new covers were just really calling to me. I love them. I think they're beautiful, and I am so thankful for those covers, because if it were not for them, I wouldn't have picked up the series and I would be missing out. If you have not yet read this series, it is so fantastic. Sabaa Tahir's writing is incredible. And I know this is a little bit of an older series, but it still holds up and is very relevant. And then I know we've already talked about This Woven Kingdom, but like I said earlier, Tahira Mafi's writing, I mean, it's just exquisite. Best writing I've ever read. Like, yeah, new all-time favorite author for sure. Newest fictional crush. I have one answer for this that really stood out to me, and that was Charlie Florek from One Golden Summer, my favorite romance that I've read so far this year, and my favorite MMC in a romance book probably ever. I just loved him. And the crazy part is, when I first started this book, I really didn't like him at all. I was actually really annoyed with him. I was like, you're giving me the ick. I actually hate you. But he grew on me so quick, and I ended up loving him so much. I think he is the perfect match for Alice, and this book is like the best romance book that I've read in forever. I gave it a 5 stars, and there's only, I think, 5 romance books that I have ever rated 5 stars, and I am a huge romance reader, so that really speaks volumes. A book that made you cry, definitely Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That one had me shedding a few tears. It was actually devastating. Yeah, it did me some real severe emotional damage. It was one of those where it just like hurts so good, you know, a very cathartic cry. I love when books can bring out that emotion in me, because very few books can make me cry. So Atmosphere definitely made me cry. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have a book that made you happy. I'm going to say Dungeon Crawler Carl. This book was just so fun, like truly a very unique reading experience, such a fun time, a very wacky, zany sci-fi book that I think everybody could find some enjoyment in. This is not typically the type of book that I would go for, but I really enjoyed it. The most beautiful book that you have bought or received this year, let me go grab them actually. I did decide to purchase the UK edition of Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this is the Waterstones exclusive with the sprayed edges. It is also signed, and it has these beautiful end papers of the galaxy. I just thought that this book was so beautiful. I'm not really the biggest fan of the US cover, so I knew I wanted to get this one when I saw it. One more time for the beauty shot. Isn't she just gorgeous? And then I also decided to pick up the Barnes & Noble special edition of Circe by Madeline Miller with these orange edges. I read this book recently and fell in love with it. Madeline Miller is quickly becoming a favorite author of mine, so I knew I wanted to get the special edition of this to match my special edition of Song of Achilles. I just think it's gorgeous. I love it. No dust jacket, just a nice simple design. Very beautiful. Definitely my type of book cover. What do you need to read by the end of the year? Definitely the rest of Ali Hazelwood's backlist. This is like a mission that I have for the year, is to complete reading all of her books. Probably not going to read the novellas, because honestly, I just don't really care for those much. But I definitely want to finish the rest of her books this year. Also, Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This is the last Carly Fortune book that I have to read as well, so I'd love to complete her backlist. And then Crescent City has been on my TBR for actual years, and I still haven't read it. So it is my goal to finish the first book at least this year, especially after hearing that ACOTAR 6 will be coming out at some point in the near future. I know I need to read this series before getting to that one. So that is also high up on my priority list. And then I'll just pop up a picture of everything on my physical TBR. I like to keep my physical TBR below 15 books at all times, or else I get immensely stressed out. So I would love to complete all of these books this year as well, and hopefully make some more room to add some more books onto my TBR. How many 5-star reads do you have so far this year? Out of the 41 books that I have read so far this year, I have had an astounding 12 5-star reads, which is a really high number for me. This has definitely been my best reading year in terms of 5-star reads. I've just been reading banger after banger after banger, and I'm loving it. I really hope to continue that streak into the second half of this year as well. But yeah, all of these books, 10 out of 10, cannot recommend enough. Fantastic, fabulous, amazing, beautiful, astounding, gorgeous, any other word you can think of. these books were it. What books do you want to reread this year? Honestly, I'm really not much of a rereader. I feel like when I'm rereading books, I'm like wasting time that I could be spending reading something new, which I know is a little ridiculous, but it's just like something within my brain. I don't typically reread books, but I do really want to reread Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book of all time, and I think it's due for a reread to see if it still really holds up to how I felt about it the first time that I read it. And then also The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is a book that I've been calling my favorite book of all time since I read it in 2019, and I have not read it since. So I definitely feel like I need to reread it to see if it is still my favorite book of all time, but I'm a little nervous to do so because I'm worried that I won't love it quite as much. But yeah, those two have been books that I really wanted to reread for a long time. And then I also think I probably will go ahead and reread the This Woven Kingdom series leading up to the release of the fourth book later this year. Series is really the only exception that I make for rereading if I want to like refresh my memory before getting into the new books that are coming out. So I could definitely see myself rereading that series. And then a book that I enjoyed that had mixed reviews, I checked on my Goodreads, and honestly, I tend to read a lot of really popular books. I don't read a lot of super obscure things, but I did read Victorian Psycho this year, and I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was such a fun time, a very like thrilling read. This one doesn't have a very high Goodreads rating, and I really don't know why. It's such an interesting concept with a great execution, in my opinion. It's basically about this woman who serves as a governess for some children during the Victorian era, and she is a psychopath. So you're inside her mind, the head of a psychopath, as she's caring for these children, and crazy things start happening, and it's a very gripping read. I love a good psychological thriller, and this one also had that historical fiction element to it, which I also love. So this book was just kind of a recipe for success for me, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it doesn't have the greatest ratings, which I just don't understand. And then also another book that I was surprised to see doesn't have the highest Goodreads score is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This is one of my favorite Ali Hazelwood books. I really enjoyed it. In terms of my ranking for Ali Hazelwood, this one is probably like my second or third place so far. I really liked it. And yeah, I was just kind of surprised to see that people didn't enjoy it as much as I did. And we have finally made it to the final question, which is what are your 5-star predictions for the rest of this year? Every Spiral of Fate by Tahira Mafi, the fourth book in the This Woven Kingdom series, is definitely a 5-star prediction for me, as well as Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, another new release that's coming out later this year. Very excited for both of those. I think they're both probably going to be a 5-star read for me. And I also recently picked up a copy of The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini from my local used bookstore, and this is a book that I definitely think will probably be a 5-star read for me as well. Just knowing how much I love historical fiction, especially when it takes place in other countries, I think I'm going to love this. So yeah, those are all of my answers to these questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are still here, let me know what your favorite book of this year so far has been down in the comments, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye-bye.